Great. Hello and welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. For the audience watching, go ahead and give your name, pronouns, and any identities that you would like to share.
Yeah, my name is Ryan Cassata. I use he, him pronouns. I am trans and queer, and I am a singer songwriter and a trans activist and also an actor.
Oh, cool. So, as you mentioned, you're a musician and an activist, and that's what you're most well known for, I would say. Tell us a little bit more about that. What got you interested in music?
I mean, my interest in music felt extremely organic. My older brother, Vincent, was playing guitar, kind of, and the guitar is basically just like sitting in the corner. And I would just always be like looking at and thinking like, oh, I really want to play that. I was like 6 years old, so I started begging my parents for guitar lessons, and that's how all that went down. So that the love for music was really just like in a really organic thing that started super young. Like I really don't remember my life without playing music.
Mm,
Um, and then for activism, I started when I was 13. I was getting bullied a lot at school in middle school, which led to a lot of like mental health issues because of the bullying that was going on every single day. So the school counselors sent me to the LGBTQ center, and I just got really involved with that center really quickly. Joined something called the Safe Schools team, and that is how I started speaking at schools and conferences and colleges. Starting from when I was 13 years old.
wow. That's pretty impressive to start. Like most people, especially ones in our age group and ones that I know, they don't get into activism until their, late teens, usually
Mhm.
like 16, 17, 18, or even into adulthood. I didn't start
Mm,
as an activist until I would say like the last 2 or 3 years, post
uh,
pandemic for sure
okay.
for
Yeah, yeah.
myself. And I'm glad that we kind of get there, but that's really cool that you started so young. What was the experience? Was it like difficult to be an activist, or were you like as a young teen?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like I don't have a choice. Like I either become an activist or I don't go to school. And I really liked going to school and I like learning, and I wanted to go to school. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll fight for my right to be here.
Hmm. I think a lot of trans people and intersex people have that, like a similar experience of like, we don't really necessarily want to become activists, but because our existence is so politicized, we kind of feel like we have to, and it becomes a necessity for us. So I definitely understand that. It does
Yeah.
suck that you had to get into it so young, though. That
Yeah, I
is,
mean, it's
yeah.
made me the person that I am today. I don't have any regrets about it, and I'm glad that I was strong enough to do it because there was other queer people in my school that were very afraid to come out, and a lot of people started to come out by the time I was in a senior in high school. There was a few other trans people out.
That's good. That's really good. I bet
Yeah,
the
so
work
it's
that
all
you
worth
did
it.
really helped that.
Yeah.
I love that. How long have you been making music? I know you mentioned that you've kind of it's been a part of your life since you were young. But have you been like actually actively making music that whole time?
Yeah, I started, well, I was doing like mostly just like learning techniques and stuff when I was young from like 6 to 12, and then when I was 12 years old I started writing songs, and it wasn't something like, oh, I'm going to try to write a song or something like that. Like I just all of a sudden felt like, whoa, I'm going to write a song right now. And it happened. Like it was never like something that was in the plans for me at all. Um and I couldn't really sing yet or anything, but I wrote a song, and my mom came home from work, and I started playing the song, and she was like, "Wow, that's a really good song. Who wrote that?" And I was like, "I did." And she was like, no way. And she thought it was an Aerosmith song or something that she had never heard before. And she was just like shocked that I could write songs. And from there, just like I started writing so many songs all the time. Like that's what I mostly did when I was a teenager. Yeah.
Mm. I've tried writing music before, and it's nothing I would ever really show the world.
Yeah.
It's nothing great. I use it more of like a process of like working through trauma and things.
Yeah, it is
Um,
very therapeutic.
it is really therapeutic. Do you have any, or I know you can play several instruments. What instruments do you play, and do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I play guitar, piano, and harmonica. I also have played bass on a few of my songs that are out, and I could program drums and do all of that. I could play like drum set like real simply. I want to get better at that, and I sing, of course. But yeah, I could probably play like most like instruments that are similar to guitar, like ukulele. I could play. I just have to like look up the chords and then boom. But yeah, I just love playing music, making art. I want to learn like more instruments. It takes time, but
It
yeah,
does.
I love it.
Do you have a favorite instrument?
Oh, for favorite, well, like playing live, I like to play guitar. It's easier than like getting a piano out there. Even like really good keyboards that I would want to play with are like super heavy. So sometimes we bring that, but guitar is definitely like the easiest. And I write most of my songs on guitar as well.
Mm, that makes sense. That makes sense. I
Yeah.
was in band for most of my life, like my high school, like marching band and
Oh,
that type of
cool.
thing. So I played trumpet, I played French horn, clarinet, ukulele, piccolo. I
That's
tried
awesome.
everything, honestly.
Do you still play any
Um,
of them?
I don't. Losing band was very difficult for me, and it's still hard to kind of get myself to want to play music in that way anymore. But um, yeah, it was it was a really great experience and very meaningful. And I think music has a way of connecting people that anyone who doesn't play music maybe doesn't realize.
Yeah, yeah.
It's there's something different when you're all just like making music together that like really hits the feels, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you do a lot of different things with your music, not just with different instruments, but I was listening to a lot of your music, and there are songs that are like a lot of folk and country music kind of vibes, but there's also rock and there's even like hip hop elements in some of them. Do you have a genre that like sticks out to you more than others?
Yeah, I mean most of my songs start in like a singer-songwriter acoustic type vibe. And then production could really just be whatever. Some of them like I write to be full band songs like with that in mind. But yeah, so I don't really fit into a genre most of the time. Like if I had to, I'd just say like I'm a singer-songwriter cuz I am. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
makes me think. I mean, I've mentioned on this live stream already, but my favorite band is 21 Pilots, and they
Oh,
describe
cool.
themselves as ukulele screamo pop.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
So all kinds of like it reminds me of that just because it's really hard to like fit into a predetermined category. You just kind of have to create your own at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And do you mainly listen to the type of music you make, or with your like eclectic sound, I can imagine you probably listen to a lot of different genres of music.
Yeah, I really listen to everything. I just feel like whatever my vibe is, I'm like, oh, I want to listen to this type of music or that type of music. So it switches a lot.
Mm. Are
Hmm.
there like artists that you like listen to more?
Yeah. I made a list for this question because, but I don't know where it is now because I
Oh
always
no.
like look something out. I listen to, well, like Alkaline Trio is one of my favorite bands, and the Get Up Kids. And then I listen to so much classic rock, especially Bruce Springsteen and Led Zeppelin and T-Rex. And I really like Lana Del Rey a lot. I also listen to SZA a lot. I love that album. I voted for it for the Grammys. And I like Drake a lot. I like Kendrick a lot. So Justin Bieber too. I really like a lot of different artists, and then I listen to a lot of indie music as well. I work for a blog called Rock the Pigeon, so I review music like pretty much all day, and I find a lot of good indie music from there.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that. I've been struggling lately personally to find music that I really connect with.
Mm,
You can listen to any song, and you're like, "Oh, that's like a good song. I can listen to the beat." But there's like certain songs that like just really touch your heart that you really
mhm,
want to continue listening to on repeat. And it's been like as I've gotten older, it's been really hard to find music like that.
mm,
Um, I can
definitely,
imagine like working for a blog where you're like reviewing music all day. You find a lot more music like that where you're like, "Oh, this is
definitely. Yeah.
amazing."
Yep.
Maybe I need to do that then. Maybe I need to just
Yeah.
temporarily review music so I can get back into it.
Yeah.
Not the worst idea. Would you say that these artists that you listed like really influence your music, or does your influence come from something else entirely?
Yeah, they definitely like creep in there, and then most of my inspiration is just like things that I've been through in my life. I mostly just write about my real life experience and things I see happening around me. So that's like the majority of my like inspiration. And then I notice like right now I'm like getting ready to record some music. So like when I'm driving around in my car listening to music, now I'm listening for like production. Like which
Mm,
way do I want to go with production? So like the way I listen to music changes a lot on like what I'll focus on. Yeah.
definitely. What are some themes that are popping up in the music you create? Because you just said that there's a lot of like life experience that you put into it. What are those like? What are some examples of those experiences?
Yeah, I definitely write a lot of love songs. And then I have been writing a lot of songs about like the queer and trans experience. I have an EP coming out in about a month that's all punk songs that are all queer and trans themed. It's gonna be cool. I think people will dig it.
I love that, and I'm sure you know, especially being in this industry, there really aren't a lot of trans musicians,
Hmm.
especially not ones that are specifically making music about the experience of
Mm,
being trans or queer. Your song Daughter was actually one of the few songs that I think trans people have to like relate to their experience. I listened
think
to that one alongside like
uh,
The Village as
okay,
like
yeah, I think
the
they came
two
out around
main
the same
ones.
time. Yeah,
They
yeah.
did, yeah. And it was like kind of around the same time as I was starting to transition as well. So it's just kind of perfect timing for me at least.
Mm.
What prompted you to create that song?
That was totally unplanned. I just started playing that riff, and then I just started writing about that. I guess it must have been on my mind about my dad and stuff. And it was just extremely organic. I wrote the song like within like 5 to 10 minutes. Only a few of the lyrics changed, like from the first like run through of it, like demo recording, to the final one. I used to say, instead of it changed your world, I used to say it changed my world, and I switched that. So that was pretty much the only lyric change. But yeah, that was just like a super just organic song, and I wrote it for my dad, and then I sent it to my dad. He was like crying at his office because it touched him so much, and he wasn't
Oh,
expecting it either. And then I was like, I don't know about like ever releasing this. Like it's super personal. People might not understand like that when I'm saying like I'm still your little I'm still your little girl, like people don't understand like that type of relationship. And like basically all I'm saying is like I'm the same person, the same child I've always been. Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing about me has changed besides my name, my pronouns, and kind of the way I dress. Like I was always like a super tomboy, and just growing up, like I have two brothers, so like people out would be like, "Oh, your sons are so cute," from the time I was like 6 years old. So in a way, I've been like living as male since I was really really young. Like I was one of those
Mm-hmm.
kids that like wanted to wear a baseball hat all the time from like the time I was 3 years old. And just like I didn't have any words for trans until I was a teenager, so it was like that part of it was like very confusing. Like I didn't know how to express it at
Yeah.
all.
How did you come across the term trans, like, for the first time? What was that experience like?
Yeah, when I went to our center, so our center on Long Island was called the Gay and Lesbian Youth Center. So there was nothing, there wasn't even trans in the title yet. And I went there and I was 13. I met another trans guy, and that was the first trans person I'd ever met. And he was like 4 or 5 years older than me, maybe a little older than that too. Like, but I met him and I was like, oh, like I could actually transition and feel more like myself. And immediately it clicked for me so fast. Like once I met him, I found all the words to describe what I was feeling. And when I came out to my friends at the center, they were just all like, "Oh, finally!" Like they were like waiting, and they didn't want to say anything. They didn't want to like pressure me or like force me to come out sooner than I wanted to and whatnot. As
Mm.
soon as I came out, though, everyone was like, they were so happy. I remember there's not much to do on Long Island, but um, they took me to Starbucks, and we just like all drank coffee and just like talked about it, and that was super cool. And I'll just like always remember that day for the rest of my life. And one of my friends was like, you can use the boys bathroom, like I'll guard the door for you. So it was just like it was super cute. And I was already dressing like a stereotypical boy, so it was very not surprising.
I love that all of them are just like, "Oh my gosh, finally." They're, like,
Yeah.
just waiting for you to come out.
Yeah.
I love
It's
that.
nice they didn't pressure me. It's good not to be pressured to come out. Like
Oh,
you definitely got to
absolutely.
do it when you're ready.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, especially because you never know if someone's situation is gonna be safe or not if they do come out,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
very important.
Very.
You have another song, "Howl," that we're gonna play
Mhm.
in just a moment. Tell us a little bit more about this song and what it means to you.
Yeah, Howl is all about, it's really all about queer love. I went on a tour just like I was like falling in love and was very much like in love. I still am, and I just like wanted to be at home with my partner, but I went on tour, so I was having this like, oh, I wish I was home with them and not on tour right now. Even though I love being on tour, but like in that moment, like the new relationship energy was so strong. So like that's what the song is mainly about. And it's fun. We love playing it live. And then the bridge section of the song, I'm talking about how like I'm kind of like forced to write all these songs about being trans just because that's who I am and that's how I write songs sometimes. But I also write love songs. Like I'm more than just trans. Like I'm also a husband, right? I'm also like a partner. I'm also like all of these other things, not just a trans person. And I'm also a musician that writes love songs, right? So
Mhm.
that's what all of that is about. And the bridge section of that song is definitely my favorite part, and it gets political and goes into an activism perspective. So stick around for the bridge. And then the music video is all footage from the tour that I did with my band last year, which was such an incredible experience for all of us. Like, we're still all talking about it and just like having good vibes and energy from it as from like a year later. So that's awesome.
I love it. Yeah, to me, I just rewatched it before we started filming, and it really, I don't know if it was necessarily the exact feelings you were trying to portray, but I really related to it as like an activist. Um, the video, it shows people living life and enjoying it. I recall like a scene where you're all like jumping in the pool, and you're watching all of these like fun things unfold, and you're playing on stage, but the lyrics are like, well, actually there's a lot of activism work happening,
Mm-hmm.
and it can sometimes impede my ability to like live freely and do the things that I want and just create the music that I want to create.
Mm-hmm.
And I really related to that as like, I said earlier, I said that some people, but I personally feel like I don't necessarily want to be an activist. I feel like I have to be an activist.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be doing so many things, but my energy has to go into making these things happen, because if I don't do it, who is going to do it? And I
Yeah,
also feel the need to really step up and really be a part of my community and um, kind of make things happen for us. And but at the same time, there are things, life kind of passes you by. There are things that you have to miss out on because of that. And so
definitely takes a
that was
lot.
something that really, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
say again.
Oh, it takes so much energy as well.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy and effort, and you get FOMO sometimes.
Yeah,
You're
it's
missing out.
important though. It's very important. I feel like honored that I get to be an activist because
Yeah.
I know it's not for everyone. Like, most people probably can't handle doing it, like it's too
Yeah.
much. It's definitely, it could feel like a burden. But I definitely, I feel very like grateful that I get to be an activist and that I get to be part of this thing that is so much bigger than me. And like, it's historic, like right now we're like
Yeah.
in a huge revolution and it's only getting bigger for the trans community. And it's like, cool, I get to be part of this. Like, in 50, 60 years from now, like, in hopefully like in history books, like they're going to be talking about the trans movement. And
Yeah.
I think it's going to be amazing, to when we get to that point.
Yeah, I think it's the same as well, it's different in a lot of ways, but it's similar to the gay rights movement.
Hmm.
Once they got rights, then we started moving towards trans
Yeah.
people, and um, I think you're right. I think in 50 years they'll be discussing trans liberation like we have been
Hmm.
discussing gay liberation, and learning
Yeah,
about that in
hopefully
history.
sooner, but you don't
Hopefully
we
sooner.
yeah.
It'll make it into the history books in 50 years. People have to have time to write about it, but
Yeah, yeah,
hopefully it will happen a lot sooner than 50 years.
hopefully.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're running up on time. I'm going to ask you one last question. If you
Okay.
could meet any musician, dead or alive, who would you want to meet?
Whoa. That's a great one. Huh.
There's probably a lot.
I know there's so many. It's hard to pick just one, really. Because I have so many like music inspirations, really. And sometimes I've noticed, like, oh, when I have met some of my heroes, they're kind of like mean in person. And I'm like, oh, I
I
kind of
have
just
heard
wish I
that.
didn't meet you. Um
I have definitely heard that. A lot of people are like, they
yeah.
don't want to meet your idol.
Yeah, sometimes like if their ego is too big, it's really not good. So yeah, I don't really know. Like, I would just be down to like do more collab songs with bigger artists. Like, I was thinking too, like, dang, I would love it if my bands could open for Alkaline Trio or the Get Up Kids, or like any punk emo band like that. I would love that so much. So I'll put that out into the universe.
Manifest it.
Yeah.
It will happen.
I hope so.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and close out. And then after this, stick around, everyone, and we'll be playing the music video for Howl. So you'll be able to watch that live.
Awesome.
For you, Ryan, are there any upcoming events that you're a part of that you'd like to promote?
Yeah, I'll be doing some Pride stuff in June. So just check out ryancassata.com/tour, and you'll see all of my dates on there. They'll also be listed on Spotify.
Awesome. And where can the audience find you? On socials, on your website?
Yeah, you can find me. I mostly post on Instagram at Ryan Cassata, and I also post on YouTube very frequently. I post on TikTok, and I post on Threads as well sometimes. Very not it's like infrequently. But Instagram's the main focus, and then you could just find me at ryancassata.com.
Nice. Well, everyone, go check him out, follow them, and check out his music and everything great that he is doing.
Thank you so